Hello friends, Adam here with FED. In Three Houses, there are a bunch of abilities called Defiant abilities, Defiant Strength, Defiant Skill, Defiant Speed, Defiant Avoid. All these things, actually I don't think, some of those don't exist that I just said, I don't know, I'm just saying words. But I know Defiant Strength, Defiant Avoid, Defiant Crit, these skills that activate, or abilities that activate when you're at low HP, right? And that stuff is, it's pretty interesting, I think, when used in conjunction with other skills and abilities. But I recently did a poll on the channel. I'll put the results on screen. And as you can see, the opinion is pretty mixed. I don't know if that's because people don't understand them, or they really just don't like them, or what. There were quite a few comments that were like, what even is the Defiant ability? So, yeah, there's some of that. But I want to talk about what could Three Houses' successor do to make Defiant abilities more interesting or more fun, or to balance them better, I guess. And to do that, we're going to take a look at the history of Defiant skills throughout the Fire Emblem series. Now, Defiant skills have really only existed by name in Fire Emblem Heroes and Three Houses. But in spirit, they have existed since the mid-90s, and really it started with Genealogy of the Holy War, with a skill called Wrath, which, you probably know if you've played Three Houses, you know Wrath exists, but it was very different in in this early, very first iteration in the series. So in FE4, Wrath is exclusive to just 3 characters in the game, among playable characters, I should say. And they, when under 50% HP, were guaranteed to crit. No matter what, they would crit as long as they were going to hit the enemy. Which is as broken as it sounds. It's really, really good. And especially at this point where Fire Emblem's skills and ability system was really in its infancy. This was as early as you could get with it. And so a lot of the skills weren't that good. But Wrath is that good. Wrath is that good. It's incredibly good. But it was balanced by being on 3 squishy mages. So these characters that, yeah, it's easy to get them under half health, but if they take another hit, they're done for. They're going to die. Because they have such low defense. So Wrath works because it is a true risk-reward relationship that the player needs to consider, which I think is sort of missing in the more recent entries. Our next Defiant ability, again, not called a Defiant skill or anything like that, appears in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, where they essentially function the same, so I'm going to just talk about them together. The HP thresholds for both are a little different, but again, they function basically the same. So both games have Wrath, which gives plus 50 crit when at low HP, and obviously that's not as potent as a guaranteed critical hit that you see in like FE4, but it is still really good in conjunction with like a character like Edward, who starts with it, and a Killing Edge. He's probably going to crit. He's going to crit more than 70% of the time probably. He's going to crit a lot, and that's really good, right? You like to see that. Triple damage is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing, unless you're trying not to kill it for some reason. I don't know. So there's Wrath there. And as far as other skills, we have Resolve. This is the first introduction of a skill that really affects a character's like base stats. Like, it doesn't just affect like a combat stat, stuff you see in the combat window, but it affects their actual character stats. Resolve, when at low HP, increases strength, speed, and skill by 50%. So if your character has 20 speed, it increases it by 10, making it 30 speed, right? When you're at low HP. And yes, that is as broken as it sounds. Resolve is incredibly potent. It really does just make your character basically unhittable in the right situation, and they just deal a ton of damage. So how was this balance, though? How do you balance skills like Wrath and Resolve that are so powerful? And the answer in these games is they just made them incredibly short supply. Like, you can't give them to everybody. Skills in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn are applied to units through like an item that you find in a chest or get from an enemy or something like that. So Resolve and Wrath are just really uncommon. You don't find them. I believe Resolve is only it comes on one character in Path of Radiance. It comes on Toronio. But then you also find one in a chest at like the very end of the game. Like almost the very end. You only get to use it for 2 chapters. Only get to use it for 2 chapters. Wrath is a little more common. It's on like Nephany. And then if you look at Radiant Dawn, it's on Edward. And then you can also find it as an ability a little more commonly than Resolve. But it is still in short supply, and you can't give it to everybody. There's just not enough to go around. And I think that works. It allows them to still be really like good and fun to use, but it makes it a commodity. Something you can't just say, okay, I'm going to make everyone a warrior to learn Wrath, so they're going to have a bunch of high crit builds or something like that. I think that's a good way to balance it. It works here. It works for this game at least. Next we have Awakening, which also has Wrath. This is probably the least interesting Wrath in the series, along with, you know, it's just bad. 20 crit, under half HP. The problem is it's too available to be good. Like, it's too easy to get. Anyone who it can be a berserker can get it at level 5, and that is just really available. It's hard to balance something, make something good. Well, it's not hard to balance something. I should say it's hard to make something really good when it's so available in a strategy game like that. So yeah, you only get 20 crit, which is substantial, but it's not enough to be game breaking or to be super noticeable like a 50 crit increase would be. Fates had one skill that I know of, a DLC skill, DLC exclusive, called Awakening. It was exclusive to the class that Lucina gives. I can't remember what that was called. I don't remember if it was just called Lord. I think it might have just been called Lord or something like that. But anyways, or Great Lord maybe is what it was called. Either way, you didn't get it till like level 35, which is super late. It raised your hit, crit, avoid, and dodge, a dodge being crit avoid, by 30% when under 50% HP. And you're right, it just isn't balanced. Once you get it, that just is really kind of stupid good. But it's okay because it's DLC. That's the idea. It's just DLC brokenness. You paid for the amiibo or the character or the map that you get it, whatever it is. So you might as well have an incredibly broken unit, right? Or an incredibly broken skill. And again, it comes really late, so it doesn't even affect your playthrough that much. So yeah, that's how I think Fates handles that. And again, that works. I guess you pay for it, might as well be broken. And it's totally, you don't. Most people, I feel like most people haven't even used that skill because the DLC was all expensive and stuff. And now I don't know much about heroes. I don't know much about heroes, but this is where Defiant skills first appeared as a grouping of abilities that raise a stat based on how low your HP is. So that's a thing. I know that's where the naming convention originated, but I don't know much past that. I know there's a ton of different variants on it now too, and I don't even know the names. I haven't played Heroes in like 2 or 3 years, or maybe actually probably close to like 4 years at this point, because it's that old, isn't it? Yeah, dude, Heroes is old. I haven't played Heroes in a very long time, and but this is where we get the name Defiant. Defiant Strength or Defiant Avoid, things like that. And finally, we have 3 houses, and 3 houses has the same problem that you see in Awakening, and potentially Fates, where the Defiant skills are just too available. Anyone can master Bow Knight and get Defiant Speed. Anyone can master Dragon Lord or Wyvern Lord and get Defiant Crit. So the skills are just too available for their own good. So they can't be too broken. Ultimately, they can be really good when used in conjunction with other abilities, and that is how you really make use of them and make them worth it. I don't know, a character like Balthus, who has his own personal ability that uses Defiant abilities. It is a Defiant skill, essentially. It's plus 6 strength and defense when under 50% HP. that can be really good, but they're kind of lackluster because, again, they're so available. So they're balanced in that they're not too good because anyone can get them, but the fun aspect of them kind of like loses some of that. It loses some of that because of because if they were too good, then it would be the obvious choice. You just make everyone get Defiant skills and you win the game, kind of thing. So I get why they're so limited in their like the stat increase and stuff like that. Like, could you imagine Resolve from Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn in 3 houses? You just get 50% extra speed or something. Freaking have, you know, your 40 speed Falcon Knight all of a sudden has 60 speed. That'd be insanely stupid. But it'd be really fun. So there's that. It's a balance between fun and, you know, practicality. So how do you fix it in future iterations? I would make it more exclusive. That's basically what I would do. I'd make it more exclusive. Make it something that not every character has access to. I really like that. It makes a unit unique, number one. Number two, you can make it really overpowered as long as you have a check or checks and balances with the character itself. I think FE4 might, like the first iteration of this, might be the most fun and the most rewarding, where you have this incredibly weak, squishy mage in Teltiu, and she, you know, she gets two shots and she's dead usually, right? She's really weak at first, but if she takes one hit and then counters, she's probably going to kill with an incredibly powerful magical crit. That's fun. And it feels good to use. It feels good to pull off, and it feels good to use in a strategy. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. How would you fix Defiant skills? Or maybe not even fix, but how would you make them more interesting in the future of Fire Emblem? Because I'm assuming they're going to stick around with how prevalent they were in 3 houses. So, and of course in Heroes as well. So let me know in the comments, how would you fix them / make them more interesting? Please like the video if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And please subscribe if you're also not subscribed. Like, what the heck? If you made it this far in the video, you should probably subscribe, because I do talks like this and stuff all the time. So please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.